On this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we are fixing a broken Mitsubishi. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. Broken Mitsubishis. It's a bit of a theme, only this is about as good as Mitsubishis get, I reckon. This is my Evolution 9. You may have seen it on the dyno recently where it spun up a very healthy 270 kilowatts. We then took it for a drive. Not so good. I had noticed a few issues sort of on the track, bringing it home, check engine lights, other rubbish. Now it's got some kind of exhaust leak, we think. So today's the day we're going to fix it.
Martin, I would like to congratulate you on saying that the broken Evo is about as good as a Mitsubishi gets. Because I imagine what you mean by that is that we drive around in my Golf for a while. Is that correct?
Your Golf is a lovely car to drive around in all the time.
Actually, let's not even start. But why is a broken Mitsubishi the best a Mitsubishi can get?
No, I mean an Evo 9 is the best Mitsubishi that you can get.
This one's kaput.
For now, but it won't be by the end of today, man. We're going to fix it.
Good.
Martin,
what are we going to do, mate? What are we going to do?
So the most obvious problem is the massive exhaust leak that it's got. We think it's around the header somewhere, maybe a turbo gasket. This does have an aftermarket turbo on it. So to support that, we've got a couple of mods for Mighty Car Mods that we're going to apply to this car. So we're talking manifolds and dump pipes and front pipes and basically just go over it, fix it and make it so I can just drive it around. Because currently
what
I
about
can't.
this cam sensor that went Ronda and Katut last time?
So I've also got us a new cam sensor. So we're going to install that and that.
Did you buy 3 more? Scotty reckons you've got to carry 3 in your glove box.
I bought 1 more. It's brand new though.
Yeah, you got a spare?
No, not yet.
Apparently you got to. Apparently that's an Evo thing. No, apparently you carry them in your glove box.
Yeah. Well, that's what he reckons. I believe him. 400 kilowatt daily Evo sounds pretty freaking awesome.
Hashtag 400 kilowatts, everyone wants it. Is that what we're doing? Are we going to do it?
I hope so.
Yeah, great.
Not with this engine, like in that condition. That'll go Ronda and Katut very quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to do little things. That cam sensor, it's got an ECU in it. We're going to make ourselves a cable so we can plug into that ECU, work out what's going on. That is going to be replaced with a Haltech soon, so that I can plug all my gear into it, my existing stuff that I've got, and we can just push it to the next level.
Awesome.
So these are the parts that we're going to use to fix this particular broken Evo. Starting at the front and working our way to the back of the car. We've got a few awesome things here. This is from Platinum Racing Products and that's an adapter so that we can run Nissan coils in our Mitsubishi, which is pretty awesome. Otherwise it's got this like super old school batch fire system, so that's going to update it nicely. It's got some custom tubes and everything that goes in it. The next bit of exciting gear is this Hypertune manifold. This is like a stainless steel investment casting. It's like aircraft grade.
That's fancy, man.
It doesn't have any welds in places that can crack, so there's no gooches. Unlike Too Sexy, there is no gooch that can crack. This is a really nice piece of kit. Replaces the factory one. The factory ones are actually quite good, so if you are going to replace it, you don't really want to be just chucking a thin wall stainless steel sort of eBay thing on it because there's really not many gains to be had. So this does mean we can also use the turbo in the stock factory location, which I am trying to do. Otherwise, we end up with turbos at the bonnet, just like Too Sexy. So next most important thing is gaskets to make that work. So 1 gasket for the manifold, another gasket on the turbo. After that, you've got this weird looking thing that I haven't really seen before. That's a dump pipe.
Can you rip it out, Martin?
That's a dump pipe for an Evo 9, and it's...
I've never seen such a thing before.
So this is called the dump pipe, and then the next one is called a front pipe. So it's pretty good, it's massive, and it comes down into that sort of weird gasket thing. I don't know what they call them, there's a word for that. You can put your O2 sensor in there as well. Around that point of the engine, we've also got our crank sensor, so we're going to throw that in. Moving on, we've got what is known as a front pipe, which in every other car would probably just be part of the dump pipe, but Evos are a bit special. This is pretty cool as well. So this is an NVIDIA stainless steel device. This is 3-inch, and we'll go from the dump pipe under the front of the car into a cat, which hasn't arrived yet. So hopefully we'll get a cat today, but we can do the rest of the exhaust even if that doesn't arrive yet. And then the exciting piece after that is this, which is a Lamb Speed 3.5-inch stainless steel exhaust.
That's big, Martin. That's a big metal sausage.
So if you are going big power in an Evo, 3 inch is good, 3.5-inch is better. And so from basically the cat back, we've got just a bigger pipe, less restriction, and a nice big muffler on the back of it.
You've got some interior bits there as well,
I do,
Martin.
I'll get back to them.
Amazing.
So pretty much this has clamps and stuff that matches it all up, like a V-band looking thing, and a nice big muffler on the back because Currently the car's really noisy because it doesn't actually have a rear muffler, it's just got a straight
There's
pipe.
just a bit of pipe hanging out here, isn't there?
Yeah, there's some muffling stuff going on in the middle, but otherwise that's about it. And we also have down this end of the car a fuel pump. It's a 400 litre per hour fuel pump and some various fittings to make it fit. The fuel pump that's in there is a bit of an unknown. The car came with a separate fuel pump, like in a box, saying, and the previous owner said it's probably a good idea to upgrade it. I don't know the history of that pump, and I think it's a bit smaller than this one, because this is sort of one of the bigger ones, which should easily support around 300 kilowatts. You're not getting to 400 kilowatts with just a single pump in an Evo, you need two. So the only other thing I've got as well, which hopefully we'll get time to do, is some interior bits, because as we know, interiors on cars this age get a bit thrashed out. So I've got a new genuine gear boot, some of the mounts that hold the gear selector down to make it a bit less floppy, a new gear knob, because my gear knob's really grot, and some other like springs and brackets and things just to tidy up the shifter, because the shifter is a little bit vague. So
that's cool, matey, because that stuff there might seem boring, but that's actually the stuff that makes your experience day to day good.
Exactly, you're using it all the time. So we've got some gaskets and some other bits and pieces. This stuff at the front, that won't work with the factory ECU or the one that we've got in there at the moment without rewiring. So what we're going to do is put that all together and make sure it fits the car, but we won't actually plug it all in yet because we still need to run it on this ECU till we put our Haltech in. But by the time our Haltech goes in, we can run full sequential ignition, which is pretty exciting. And we've got some bigger injectors for it as well.
That's excellent, man.
It's going to be fun. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So this Evo's actually had a full replacement engine. It came with a receipt for something like $13,500 worth of brand new, genuine Mitsubishi full engine. So I'm sure the last engine got lunched pretty hard. Anyway, so what that means is this has been apart fairly recently. That is my theory of actually why potentially it's blown one of these gaskets, is because when they've been apart a few times, sometimes the bolts and stuff get a bit loose. And so I have a feeling we're going to find some loose bolts in there. But for exhaust manifold bolts, it's always a good idea to give them a hit with WD-40 or a penetrant that helps get them apart. You can use just normal WD, or you can use this stuff, which is like a specialist penetrant. So it's kind of more penetrant, less door lock lube, or less door lube, if you know what I'm saying. So pretty much give them a good soaking. And
the deal with that stuff is it works faster, right?
That's the idea, is, yeah, you're not waiting around as long for it to actually do its thing. It is just for penetrating and making these bolts easy to get off. So give them a mad spray, go get a nice cup of tea, you're getting all binky on it, and then come and do it, and we can take all that off.
Hello, Binky.
That one was really loose, man. That one basically didn't need any cracking whatsoever. So I'm pretty sure our leak is probably coming from where the turbo meets the exhaust manifold. Yeah, so that didn't require any cracking at all, and the rest are pretty loose as well. So that's probably why. When you put these in, you need to double check later on that they're still tight. So you need to go through and run it, drive it for a bit, let it heat cycle a few times, grow, shrink, and then torque them up again. Always a good idea to use a torque wrench, which we'll do as well when we're putting it all back together.
We've never had a car in here that has those quick jacks so close to the middle.
Yeah.
The first thing we're going to do today is just remove the whole exhaust. Now, normally if you're going to do this and you're wanting to make more power, you'd do a turbo as well, but because the car already has an aftermarket turbo and a bigger turbo, we don't actually have to change any of the lines that are going in there, oil lines, coolant lines, stuff like that. So we literally, manifold comes off, dump comes off, this whole thing comes off, and we can put the new one on. We put an NVIDIA system on the Honda S2000, and I think we said at the time it was like one of the first exhausts that actually just bolted on, which was incredible. So hopefully we have luck with that today. So that's the first thing that will get gone. And then we'll move on from there, Martin, but at least that'll stop it sounding like a tractor. Or do they all just sound like tractors? Is that the thing?
Oh, that's controversial. Some people reckon 4Gs sound really good.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm not convinced, but maybe this will change my mind.
Some people think SR20s sound bad.
Do Golfs sound really good?
No. The Golf sound, they sound, look, depending on what people do, they sound terrible. If you like people who just do like a straight through exhaust and then do their cold start videos on YouTube filmed off an iPhone 2, oh my God, it doesn't get worse than that. All right, man, let's pull it off. Maybe I'll start at the back.
Yep.
You start at the front.
Yep.
We'll undo it, but we'll leave it in place.
Yep.
we'll WD-40 up the hangers.
Yep.
Get that off, and then try and not have it fall on our head. So I might just get a jack stand and put it on these two sections so that when we're undoing it, it doesn't fall on our faces.
Yep.
And we'll have this gone in like 2 minutes.
Excellent plan.
Gonna put that there, just so it doesn't fall on us when it comes down. There's way less room in here than usual because of where the quick jacks go on the car. These rails are so far in that you've got, no, what is that, 1 foot, 1.5 foot? Whatever a foot is. So you can probably see there's heaps of liquid coming out of here. Now, Martin, that would be some science.
Maybe. I think that's probably ethanol and condensation, and the weather's getting cooler here as well, so that all the moisture's coming out of the air and ending up in the exhaust pipes, which funnily enough is usually how they die, because they rust from the inside out.
Yeah, right.
So mild steel, this won't rust as easily because it looks like stainless, but our new one is stainless, so that's one of the benefits of it, really. People say it's about sound and stuff. I think it's really just durability.
My easy reach around from behind, Martin. Look at that. There we go.
Is it gone?
Yeah, one more this side.
Just got to go towards you or me.
That's it, man. It can come
man.
out. That's a big pipe. Is this 3.5 as well?
No, I think it's just 3, man. This is a big old straight pipe. No muffler. No muffler at all. Just a bit of 3.5 or 4 inch at the back. It's good for like maximum offensive sound, but
it sounded like arse, let's be honest.
Yeah, sometimes it would sound really good for like 5% of the time when you're on boost at 7,000 RPM. Yeah, it sounds pretty good, but the rest of the time it just sounds rubbish.
You know when it sounded really good? Actually, there was a time that I heard that it sounded excellent.
When was that?
When it was turned off.
Sounds like a duck. The exhaust sounded like a dolphin, and that sounds like a duck.
We should call this car Noah's Evo, because every animal's in it.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, sir. Oh, yes. Broke my spine, but it's out. Watch out for the conspiracy hat cat.
What conspiracy hat cat?
It's got a cat, dude.
Oh, I thought there was a conspiracy.
Oh, wait on. The conspiracy is...
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately. But we will fix that, because that sucks for Captain Planet, man.
Can you give us a look, Martin? Bring the torch up here.
Yeah, I'm coming. Just got to crawl out. Oh, crawling on concrete, so good. That's not cool.
I can't see yet.
Sorry. Hang on. What if I shine it through there? Does that help? Can you
it's
see
empty.
Yeah, it's empty, isn't it? Empty as. Next, we're going to remove the factory turbo manifold. Now, this is our awesome replacement Hypertune manifold. The cool thing about this is it fits in the exact same space. Now, you hear a lot of the time with Evos, people talk about stock location. That means that the turbo sits in the exact same spot, the radiator goes in the same spot. If you look at some really crazy Evos, like Too Sexy, you'll see that the turbo is like sticking out the front bumper bar. That involves a different radiator or putting the radiator somewhere else, and massive manifolds to get, you know, different amount of flow or whatever. So getting a manifold like this that's compact but still flows well is really, really cool. Some tips for removing these manifolds. One is that you want to start with the most difficult nuts, because the problem is if you do all the easy ones and you leave the hardest one to access to a last, a lot of the pressure of the weight of this manifold
hanging on the hard
is hanging on the hard one, and then that's the one that you always mess up. So I'm going to go for the tricky ones first, the ones underneath, loosen them off, and then do it in stages and take them off. It's all 12mm stuff, so the best idea is to get a couple of extensions, and also I'd recommend like a 6-point socket so you don't accidentally round these. These probably won't be very tight because it's had a replacement engine, but if you've got one that's been on there and rusted on for ages, you might have problems. And this also, we've sprayed it with the penetrant early, so they should crack pretty easy. Assortment of spanners and sockets and stuff, and we'll get it off.
I hate that feeling where you don't know if it's turning or it's just munching.
It's going. Whew. Sometimes it's winding the stud out though, which is the shit thing. Like it's winding the actual stud of the out of the head rather than the nut off the end, which is possibly what's happened here. Oh no, it's coming. It's good. This is so much easier than a Subaru though, isn't it? Like a Subaru runs up here with an up pipe and a down pipe and all this other crazy stuff. This is like, I get it. This is why people are so into them, man. Because they're just freaking awesome.
You've changed, Martin.
They're awesome, just like Golfs. Golfs are awesome. Super Ramps is awesome. Maybe just fast cars are awesome. Maybe that's just the theme.
Fast cars, Golfs, Martin.
Yeah. Dude, did you see what you were driving that Golf? You saw how fast it was. It's ridiculous.
But you still believe this car will roast it until the end of eternity?
Oh, I'd like to hope it would, but I'm less sure than I was before our race. So manifold's undone. Now it's just a matter of whether we can sneak it off without damaging anything. I know it's possible on a stock one. I don't know if it's possible on something that's got a big turbo on it. So just gonna have to wiggle it and find out.
Have you taken it off the turbo as well?
Yeah, it's undone from the turbo, yeah. Just about whether we got the room. I've put some rag down there to stop us
Punching a hole in the radiator.
getting too munted, so it'll just be interesting to see if it's possible. If not, that just means turbo off. Or more of the turbo off. I'm going to pull the radiator fan out because it's just the bigger housing on this aftermarket turbo is just hitting the edge of the fan, so I can't quite get the extra space I need. I reckon with this off I'll get another 5mm of clearance, and this is a bit easier to take off than the whole rest of the front of the car and or the turbo. But if I have to take the turbo off, I will. I'm just trying to avoid it so I don't have to break lines and lose coolant, oil and all that kind of stuff. I undid that clamp, but that came off. It often happens like this, doesn't it, where you're like, I'm just going to take out 1 or 2 bits, and then like the next shot would just be the engine on the floor. Oh, there was stuff in the way, so the engine came out.
It's the Tetris, isn't it?
You know what it is in this car? I can't follow any guides. I can't even follow the Mitsubishi manual or anyone else's guides because this is all aftermarket and modified. So normally where you'd be able to get a spanner in to move something, because Mitsubishi think about that when they build stuff, you can't because there's like an aftermarket intercooler pipe or a bracket for a pod filter or a big silicon intake or something. Like it's all just a little bit messed with. But I'm going to get at least the intake out of the way to see if I can make some room. Oh, it's a decent sized turbo in there. And that is full of oil. Look at that. Can sit there for a bit.
And now it's time, Martin.
Maybe. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Ah! Might be time. Is it time? Yes! There it is. Factory manifold. Oh! Oh! Whoa! Well, there goes some kilowatts. Can you see that?
Oh, wow.
Look. Cracked straight through, man. Far out. The whole way around. It goes from here right through and under around to there. That's like
give me a look at this bit here.
70% cracked, man. Is it working for you?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, the good thing is our gaskets weren't busted. But
And that one's not cracked.
But that manifold's actually toast. And I got that thinking, knowing that the factory ones are actually quite good. But that might have just had too much of a hard life or too much heavy turbo on it. So I might need to look at supporting the turbo another way too. So it's not just all hanging off that. Cool. Well, that's good. And there's our noise as well.
Oh, just blown through.
Look at it blown straight through, man. Wow, that's toast. You can see where it's just blown out the side of the gasket. Yep. Again, because this is making, 100 kilowatts more than it probably is meant to, this sort of stuff just gives up. So now it's about some mods.
Awesome.
So after getting a whole bunch of stuff out of the way, managed to extract the factory manifold. Now, we knew it had some kind of exhaust leak. We could hear it. Scotty said that it doesn't make a huge difference in power, and that makes sense because you're not like you're losing, you know, that much flow. You're losing a tiny bit, but it sounds bad and it's not cool, so we need to fix it. What we discovered when we pulled it off is that it's got this massive crack that goes about probably 75% or 70% of the way through the whole runner.
You know what's interesting about that is normally we're talking about having a split gooch.
Yeah.
But this is split where there is no gooch.
That's right. It's like off to the leg, maybe.
Yes.
The leg area.
Yeah.
And look, this is a solid piece of metal. Like, it looks like it might have been welded once before, possibly. But again, if this car's been making 180 kilowatts on this manifold for 180,000 Ks, like that has had a hard life, considering it's meant to make like 180, not 280. So we have this one from Hypertune to replace it with. Now, a lot of the time, these guys are actually making these to replace factory ones because Evo 10 manifolds, similar to this but smaller ports, are actually known to crack, and a new replacement one from Mitsubishi is like $2,000. These are about $500 less than that. And as I think I mentioned before, they're made of aircraft grade stainless. The guys at Hypertune in Sydney put these together themselves, came up with a design. And what's cool about it is lifetime warranty. So if that ever cracks again, you go, hey boys, and they go, here's your new one, and then you put it on the car, which is pretty awesome. So
that's awesome.
In 20 years' time, when I'm cruising around in my Evo, I might need to give them a call. You'll notice it also is sort of like a twin scroll design, so the two outside go to that side and the two inner go to there, and they're, you know, very close to being even length, which people who like nerding out about turbos can talk about.
Here comes the comment section.
Exactly. So we've also got a brand new genuine Mitsubishi gasket, which will go on. So put this on, reattach it to the turbo. Well, it actually goes that way. Put this on, reattach to the turbo, new gaskets either side. And then we can just basically bolt on our new exhaust, and we will have solved our exhaust leak, and we can move on to some more stuff.
That's excellent, Martin.
Yeah.
We've still got no catalytic converter, though.
We got no cat.
I mean, neither did the previous owner. But
I've actually got a catalytic converter on the way. It's supposed to be here today, but it's not. So
okay,
we'll bolt it in the second it arrives.
Yeah, cool.
Next, I've got to work out how this dump is going to go on our turbo. Now the manifold's off, I can actually get to the fittings on the side of the turbo, so the coolant in and out and the oil in and out. So it's probably actually going to be easier now just to pull that turbo out through the top, and then I can put this new dump pipe on the bench. It's got room for an oxygen sensor and some other stuff that is probably not relevant, being that we're not using the factory ECU or even a ECU that mimics the factory one. So I'm going to pull that out, and we're going to slap this mad new dump pipe straight on.
That's pretty hectic to try and get in here, right? Like, you know how we're like, let's leave the turbo on, but how do you get to that?
Yeah, I didn't realise just how the access is on that. I mean, if the turbo was still mounted, maybe you could get to it at the bottom and fiddle around, but I think being I can just go undo, 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 and then pull it out, it's probably going to be easier. So we'll go for whatever's the most efficient and easiest way possible.
On this episode of Mighty Car Mods, how to naturally aspirate your turbocharged car. That used to be a thing, remember? Like in the 90s, people would buy like an S14 and they'd want to know how to non-turbo it while they're on their Ps and then put the turbo back. That was like every second forum post.
Wasn't it the same as...
and then everyone's just like, don't do it.
Isn't that a bit like the mirror? I mean, we had to do all that work with the mirror, and then the government went, no. And now you can just buy a mirror and import it.
They went, no. And there was just as many posts as well of people going, I've got an S13Q, I want to turbocharge it. Do I need a turbo? And everyone's just like, what about brakes? What about everything else? But it was still
buy a turbo one,
on nissansylvia.com back in the day, so many posts.
Yep.
Just what everyone wanted to do.
Yep.
And then instead people are buying like Variettas and weird ones. Never really a fan of those. You don't see many around, do you?
Nah, not anymore.
And
oil banjo. Bang, 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 bang,
Ortec ones.
Bow, bow,
oh, there it is.
Turbo banjo. Turbo banjo. Sick.
Will you ever own another S13, Martin?
Will you?
Will you?
Probably not.
S15?
S13s are going up in value again, dude.
Are they?
They're just bouncing around like crazy.
Are they?
Yeah, you can't get cheap ones anymore.
They are the mollusk on the whale that is the GTR.
Hose, what can I do with the other one? Hose and hose. Oh yeah, okay, that might be easier than I thought.
What I like about this video is today we're going to bolt on this exhaust. Next minute, turbo off.
Yeah, I'm sure it's possible, but if we learn anything, it's You know, remove the stuff you got to remove to make it easier. Otherwise, you're just going to spend just as long, aren't you? And we have the tools, we have the time, we're hanging out.
We have the inclination, Martin.
Doing cool stuff. But also, like, I couldn't have got the turbo off before without removing all the stuff I've just removed anyway, so it's not like I've had to do anything extra.
Does it help you if I take the weight off that up here?
No, it's all right for now.
Do you want to undo the lines on the turbo?
Can you just pull the turbo sort of up and to the driver's side a little bit?
Like that way?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I'm fapping this like crazy, man, and it is just leaking like you would not believe.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just funny because there's a little bit of juice coming out at my end as well.
Yeah.
Hold on, if I stick something right in there.
I think it just fell down basically onto my hand.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just trying to...
There's heaps of pressure on it. I'm just trying to relieve some of the pressure.
I'm pulling the sheath back up here.
Any chance you can pick it up, take some of the weight of it?
I can in a sec, but there seems to be a ring around the base of it. It's keeping it hard, it's keeping it on there. Oh, it's sliding out now.
What is?
The shaft. Oh, there it goes. Sorry, man, it's juicing all over your face. Sorry, I just
What is that?
I dropped my nut, sorry.
It's leaking right on me, man.
Sorry, man. Where's it leaking? Oh, it's leaking from out of... Oh, it's leaking out of both ends. Sorry,
Really?
man. Yeah, it's coming out of both sides.
You need to, like, yeah, take a shitload of the weight of it because... There it goes. There it goes. Now it's pissing oil.
Okay. Sorry, there was coolant coming out of the turbo and out of the line.
Oh, that's messy. This drain pan was excellent, positioned perfectly, just to cop all of it, man.
Is this undone now?
Well, yeah, but nah. And now the problem is now it's leaking so much, I can't actually get in there to pull anything else off it.
Okay.
Here she comes. You gonna let me get it out or not? Just that oil drain just wants to get caught on everything. There it is.
Getting it back in will be fun.
Yeah. So the short one goes to the pressure source and the long one goes to the wastegate. Everyone remember that, please.
If they put it in the comments, Martin, then we'll be able to remember when we forget.
That'll be good. That'll help me in a few days' time. Long one goes to wastegate. That's a big unit. I totally ripped the O2 sensor out just then as well. Luckily we don't need to use that again. I'm not going to use that bung. You what, mate? Yeah. What's that? Oh.
The whole of the end of the Frankfurt was hanging out, man.
She said that the chicken bone got stuck.
Oh, really?
Totally stuck.
That's grot, man.
I know.
People heat it up, don't they?
No, whole saw.
Really?
Yeah, well, whole saw for the doorknob and then the watermelon. Also just that
Can you
really
get one on there though?
that really awesome oil pan that we have below is just catching all the nuts that I keep dropping out of the engine bay. So I'll go fishing for them later.
There we go.
That's playing ball now, isn't it?
Almost.
All right, now I actually got to try and get a washer and nut on the back without nutting into the oil pan.
Yuck.
Back together, and that was a little bit harder than I thought, but it's very neat, isn't it?
It is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks nice. This all looks cool. The dump looks good. It's all in there proper.
All the plumbing's back on, oil line's back on, coolant line back on.
So cooler pipe. Up here it's just cooler pipe and intake, which I'll do last.
Yep, that's easy.
But now I reckon we move on and do our
What we set
pipe.
out to do this morning?
Yeah.
The exhaust?
About 8 hours ago. Yeah, we'll get the rest of the exhaust on and then we might call it a day and come back and finish him off.
Yep, all right, sounds good. I'm going to make this look like the opening scene from Star Wars, Martin.
Oh, that's good. No one will care. Oh my God. Are you wasting people's hard drive space?
Only our own. Everyone else is streaming. Have you seen the opening shot of the original Star Wars, the good one, where the guy hits his head, the stormtrooper smashes his head on the door? It's true.
Do we just get copyright struck for talking about it?
Don't know, man. Oh, that's excellent.
Could you imagine how good this would be on a hoist? You could just hoist it in.
And if instead of looking up it was a Mitsubishi, it was a Volkswagen, and had a big turbo on it and stuff.
It'd be all clean and everything would work. It'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? I need some lubrication.
Yeah.
Can you WD me?
Yeah. Oh, I've got penetrant. It's not the right thing.
Good. It works. I'm really missing your ratchet thing. How good right now would your ratchet thing be? I put a 12mm on there. I did. That's
What do you need, man?
14.
I'll get it for you.
It's a nice big bit of pipe, man.
Here you go, Von Dangle.
Thank you.
If it was like 100 years ago, Martin,
Yeah.
and there weren't cars but there were planes, I don't even know if that's historically accurate.
No, it is. There were planes 100 years ago.
No,
Just.
but were there planes before there were cars?
No, there were steam wagons and weird contraptions, and there was electric cars, believe it or not.
Let's pretend there wasn't. Let's
Yeah.
just pretend there was planes.
Yep.
Do you reckon we would be mighty flying in a fantastic flying machine mods?
Oh yeah, we'd be.
Because I reckon we would have like been trying to fly stuff.
We'd be like mighty flying jalopies. Do you know what? I realise as well, the reason that this video has gone for so long is because we just keep talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe if we just never spoke about anything, it would be like a 3-minute video.
It'd be great, wouldn't
Fixing
it?
an Evo.
Just not talk at all. But you know, if you're not going to talk, you may as well just read a Haynes manual or Googleize it.
That's true.
Can we make that the comment of the day, Googleize?
We
Oh, that's the
absolutely
wrong
can.
show, isn't it? That's the other show.
I don't know. All I know is if you've never wound in some of these like springy exhaust bolts before, you haven't lived. They're so satisfying, man. It's got a little bit of feedback the whole time. You watch the spring compress. It sits up there nicely. It grows and shrinks as the car gets hot and cold. It sounds good, and it's very definite when it does bottom out. It's in the correct spot. You know about it. It's just good, man.
Martin,
Just
if we were
quality.
making planes back in the day,
Satisfying.
the equivalent of YouTube was that we would draw a picture of a plane and we would stick it up on the community notice board. But then would people comment, I don't like your picture. Demonetized plane. I like your old plane better than the new plane.
I like your old plane. You would 100% get that.
Your old plane was better than the new one.
But you know what? You got to wonder. I mean, to that point, you got to wonder why people modify stuff. Do you know why? It's really satisfying.
Well, they hang out with their mates and
And
they
they
want to
want-
make stuff better.
You make something better,
and
but
they want to achieve the potential.
the process, especially when you've got nice parts that bolt on, is really satisfying. And you could also make this pipe. I just want to say you could make that 90-degree bend, 45, bit of stainer, everything. But again, for a car so common, what's really nice for a change is having a car that's common and you can get this stuff for, and it's relatively cheap because it's made in such quantity. So
You should get an Apple Watch, bro.
it's a bit different. It's a bit different to a mirror, that's for sure.
Do you know why you should get an Apple Watch?
Because this one keeps telling us the time all the time.
Yeah, because the Apple Watch would have run out of battery by now.
Yeah.
I used my Apple Watch on the weekend.
Yeah.
I know this is the wrong show for this.
Yeah.
But I used my Apple Watch on the weekend, did a big bushwalk.
I was going to ask you, did you use your Apple Watch on your big bushwalk? Your
7
30
hours
Ks?
gone. 7 hours it was gone, so I
No.
didn't even get my whole thing in. Then there was another dude camping there. He brought a charger and an Apple Watch charger, so he charged it up for me. The next day ran out as well.
Oh, that's
Didn't
a
even
shame.
last a day.
These go for 2 weeks, I believe.
Crazy. Martin, is it on?
Yep, let's
That
do
it?
the rest of the
All
exhaust,
right,
man.
that is the
Let's
end
get
of this
onto there.
episode.
We'll-
Is that the end of this episode?
Not quite. No, we're going to get the rest of the exhaust on and put everything back together.
Oh, good.
And I've got to throw the fuel pump in.
Martin,
Needs a
there's
fuel
some
pump.
random feet just walking around, which is weird because you and I are the only people here today.
What is...
Hello. Yeah, that's some quality workmanship.
It's nice, hey?
Can I borrow your knife, mate?
Yep. It's big, man. 3.5 inch. And they've done lobster back bends as well, where you
weld in lots of, they're actually straight pieces of pipe cut at an angle and then they weld them in.
The internet
to get
loves
the curve.
them, don't they?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it myself because I think it's a lot of effort for, I don't know how much return. I mean, it looks cool.
And you're not a massive fan of crustaceans either, are you?
No, I don't really like eating crustaceans.
Oh, the easy reach.
Are you juicing them up?
Yeah, I'm easy reaching it up, man.
There's been a lot of lubrication happening in this episode.
Excellent. All right.
Is she going on?
It's going in,
It's
mate.
going to look good, man. It's
gonna
actually
look
going to
really
look good. I'm not a huge fan of the old Canon, but I think it works.
Oh, man, it's the right thing for this car.
It is.
First one in. Look at that. You can actually get a look at what it's going to be like. I mean, it's not hanging
Trim,
right
trim.
because it's going to be up like that.
Yeah.
Once it's connected.
And I might have to trim out some of this, is the rumour as well, but it depends on, depends how it sits when it's got the rest of the pipe in there.
I actually don't mind this. Usually not a massive fan, but I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it's blue on a blue car too, so I think it works.
Excellent.
Very good.
Do you want to see the best Evo in the building? There's a really good Evo here.
Where?
Out here. Look at this. That's a good Evo, man. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is a pretty good Evo. Okay, so this is a factory blow-off valve, and I don't know whether this is an Evo 9 one or an Evo 8 one or an MR one, but all I know is there's a couple of different versions that all look similar. And some have like plastic internals and some have metal ones. And the metal ones are the desirable ones because they will hold more boost pressure. But it is a fairly common mod to replace this. This looks like a plastic one. With an aftermarket valve once you're getting over sort of 22, 23 pounds. Now, as far as I know, this car currently is running about 20. So it'll be near the max of this, but not exceeding it. But we're going to go with a GFB one. Just because we can and because this show is called Mighty Car Mods and we're going to modify it.
And by the way, Australia.
Yeah, Australian made.
Australian designed, Australian invented, Australian made.
So this is a GFB response, which means you can sort of adjust the stuff in there and load, and you can also have it bias it so you can have the
recirculating
or not
at your pleasure.
depending how you turn that thing, which I haven't. There it goes. So you can turn
Yeah,
that.
show us
and
the
you can
bias,
have-
Martin, because that's the good bit.
It is. So you can bias it open and get the whoosh, or close it off and get recirc. You can put a plug in there. It basically comes down to when we're tuning it, what kind of results we get, and we also just adjust the preload as it has in the instructions, which we'll go through later.
Our mate Brett that invents and makes these, we've got a whole technical series of him on our other channel, MCM TV2,
do.
that maybe we'll link you to and you can have a look, because
And-
if you have blow-off valve questions, he's the dude for you.
And these are a thing on Evos as well. Like, so as I said, they're known to leak under certain conditions. So it's pretty much just a done thing that if you're pushing it past stock, you're generally going to want to change it. I mean, it's pretty easy to do, really. Someone who made the front mount in this car has already made all the adapters and stuff required to make it fit. So all we have to do is swap the hoses on. And then when we're setting it up, once the car's running again, probably on the dyno, we just check the preload to make sure that it's opening correctly. Blow-off valves, contrary to popular opinion, don't just randomly open and ruin things. They've got pressure on both sides, and if the pressure's the same, well, then the...
They can't open under those conditions,
Nah, not
right?
really. There's- Again, like, if you're interested in that or you want to discuss it, then jump on and have a look at Go Fast Brett, because he covers it in detail, and he spent
We're going to link it, Martin. We're going to link it right now.
We're going to link it. He
It's going
spent
to be up here.
many years of his career...
Pause this video, watch that, then come back.
Many years of his career working it out, and that stuff is very important because you don't want to lose power for just because you've got a leaky valve, which, as I said, these are known to do. I can't tell which version that is, but maybe we'll look that up later on the part number and find out. But for now, that is as complex as this particular modification goes, which is one of the reasons I like replacing blow-off valves. It's
Well,
like
because you can, it's easy, it's rewarding.
5-minute exercise, and you've got a nice solid billet, part made out of a billet, made in Australia, made by some local dudes. It's a quality thing, and there's cars running big power and big times, and particularly in roll racing that are running these valves. So
And what's cool, Marty, like
enough for
I
me.
am proud to be Australian, and I'm proud of Australian products, and people use these all over the world. And
They
these
do.
are made like 15 minutes down the road.
Yep.
It's like, that's pretty cool.
It's
like
really
people
good.
in the States use them, people in Japan are using them, people in Canada, all over, which
Should
is
we
really
throw it
cool.
on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Boom.
It's been like 3 minutes, Martin, total changeover time.
That's good,
It's
eh?
been like one long shot.
Bang. Blow-off valve in. Now, obviously, I'll double check the positioning of that when we put the intake back in. But currently, that will go full recirc. But if I want the whooshky, the freaking whooshky noise, then I just turn that top collar
And away we go. So that's in, vacuum hose back on, boom. Aftermarket blower valve, 5-minute job, I reckon.
It's been 3 minutes 53, mate.
It's been 3 minutes 53. There you go. Done. Looks cool too. All right, next up, cam angle sensor.
Oh, there he is, Martin.
Cam angle sensor. Now I've got actually on the way, which again we're supposed to get here today, but probably won't, just because Australia, is a shield that actually goes over this area and also shields this cam sensor from copping all the heat. So that's all it is. It's just the little
oily, isn't it?
Magnetic sensor thing in there because there's a whole bunch of oil from the head splashing around in there, so it does get oil on it. That's on the end of the cam. That little sensor is the one that gets affected by heat. It's just a little plastic thing. There's also relocation kits you can get that move them out of the way.
And that's the one, though, that we're pretty sure is Ronda and Katut, right?
This is probably Ronda and Katut and causing intermittent issues. According to our ECU, that's most likely going to be the case based on the check engine light.
And by the way, our
flashing that
ECU is Scott from Haltech.
Well, the issue that's in there isn't, but he decoded it. So,
yes.
So basically, we just swap that sensor out. I've got a new old stock one here.
So that just makes your car fast now, Martin, all the time.
Well, that's the hope, isn't it? That's the hope that we just throw this in and...
And how much power did we make? 260 something?
270.
270.
Came with a dyno sheet for 280 and it made 270, which is totally fair game in terms of the way dynos work. That's pretty spot on.
Martin, what would happen if you had an Evo that's making 260, 270?
Yep.
And then you had a Golf R making 260, 270.
The
what
Golf
would
R
happen?
Would trash it. The Golf R would just smash it.
Really?
I reckon the equalising power required to keep up with the Golf with that gearbox is easily 100 kilowatts.
Really?
Yep. I reckon that gearbox is worth 100 kilowatts, man.
I was going to say,
amazing.
I think the result would be a very epic video, Martin.
I think we should find out.
But you need a lot of resources
So,
and time to make a Golf make
Part of
that
the reason
much
we
power.
might also be having problems, as you can see, is that has no catch on it anymore.
no
It's
probe.
broken off.
No probe.
Again, from heat. So I'm going to put the little shield on there, which hopefully will arrive and we'll get a shot of it going on. But basically that is part of the problem. So we'll have to sort of cable tie that on or maybe investigate fixing up this wiring or redoing it, as Scott said, and putting a new connector up the back there. But we'll see how we go, because once we have the new ECU on there, we can get accurate data as to what sort of information this is receiving, and that will tell us whether it's still busted. And we've also got the old one, because potentially there might actually be nothing wrong with the sensor. It might be the wiring, but this will, now we'll know for sure.
Chasing gremlins.
Yep.
All right, Martin. Now you're a real... What? Ah. I was about to say, now you're a real Evo owner because this is in your glove box.
Do I have
you
a glove?
have no glove box, so
Oh, don't I?
it just goes there. What a nugget. Cable tie's going on.
Yeah, man. Seems to be the done thing. I mean, that should stop it blowing off. Not that there's really any reason it should. It's more likely to be heat and mechanical damage or anything that's going to be causing that problems.
That's better.
That's probably supposed to go underneath that hose as well. So it's just for the OCD Evo owners out there who are watching this going, that's not how you do it. I also learned an interesting fact from Scotty Hilsing. He said, if you're changing the turbo, take the radiator out.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we learned that a bit too late.
Oh,
we didn't actually damage the radiator though.
We
which is
took it
good.
out all right, Martin.
Well,
Piece by piece.
we didn't damage it too bad, man. It's like Legos together so nicely.
Look at that, man. Excellent.
So nice. So the boost control solenoid here, which has these little finicky wires running to it and some conduit that's sort of not connected to anything. If you rewind the video back, you remember that I said the long hose goes to there.
We don't remember. We need to check the comments.
I'm pretty sure it was the actuator.
Let's check the comments. Hold on.
Or is the long one? The long hose goes to the actuator and the short one is the pressure source.
Thank you, comment section.
What's funny is if that's wrong, everyone will know, except me. I won't know. But this is sort of just cable tied in, so this is probably going to get rejigged. And when we go to the new ECU, we will probably also redo that because we're going to want some pretty hectic boost control. It's £20 for the moment, but in the future, hopefully that'll be a bit higher, and then we'll need some serious boost control.
Someone asked me recently, Martin, why do you guys modify cars when you can buy a perfectly good car?
Did they ask that?
Yeah.
Why would... But why? I don't understand. That doesn't even compute for me.
Well, it was pretty much the end of the conversation because I'm like, you can get the f*** out. It's a big donkey snout, though, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's massive. It's Pretty good piece of kit though. Like that's not factory, and that's a nice,
That's homemade, isn't it?
big, free-flowing thing.
Is it homemade?
Oh no, it'll be some. Oh, that bit that's been fabricated to fit the blow-off valve, I think. But the actual big silicon thing's
Oh,
probably.
not the silicon thing, just the metal bits, because the welds on them looked
pretty
DIY.
good. That looked pretty
No,
good,
not
man.
there. Where's the other bit go?
Oh yeah, that bracket. Yeah, that.
Oh yeah, just this bit.
That's good though. Like that's holding the pod. That's what you want. Getting this on the turbo is proving interesting because there's so much stuff in the way. But we will prevail. Like a glove. There
It
we go.
looks like a soup ladle, Martin, doesn't it?
It's not the first.
Pretty
thought,
useless one.
It's not the first thought that I had, but now you mention it.
Nice.
Put the bracket in. Tighten that up on the turbo. And we're good.
Soup ladle.
Soup ladle. Thank you. I believe that goes that way. It's all a bit mysterious when you're working on someone else's modified car that's now yours. It's a bit of a new thing for me. I'm usually end up with stock cars.
Yeah.
Usually start
Funnily
out with
enough.
them, but not in this case. It's good.
So will this be faster than Supergramps?
Yeah, you know what? It probably will. Well, I mean, with 270 kilowatts now, it might actually be faster. It'll all come down to weight and how you launch it. It's not going to be a lot in it. And Supergramps has a lot of power under the curve. That's the thing. That peak number is not everything. Because Supergramps is only on 8 pounds, it's got almost double the capacity, and it's got a lot of power even when it's not on boost. So it'll be a pretty interesting comparison. Although I think actually on the quarter mile this would be quicker. I think the top end power that this has, once it gets going, might just send it, and it has a bit less weight and possibly a more aggressive all-wheel drive system. So yeah, different cars. They are very different cars. So comparing them is, I don't know how useful it actually is because they're so very, very different.
Well, it'll still make an interesting video, Martin. And
Pretty keen on that
dibs
video,
are-
aren't you?
Yeah, I want Supergramps versus this, because Supergramps is going to destroy this.
No, it's not.
Oh, it will. It's not even my car, so I don't have to pretend to care. It actually will just beat it. And then a mildly modified Golf will just destroy both of them.
Probably.
No, it won't. You keep saying that. I get the feeling that you're starting to get scared.
I'm not scared, man. I'm just being realistic. Like the Golf is going to be off its head. It just will be. It's already fast. Like it's stock. Look how fast it is. You know it's fast. You were driving it. It's all looking pretty good in there, isn't it? This looks
It's
awesome.
looking awesome.
Get my little heat shield happening.
I actually don't think we should worry about putting that centimetre pipe in until you've got a cat. Like, we may as well just do them, just
Yeah.
like finish it at the same time.
We'll throw them in like, I don't know. As soon as it arrives, I'll just chuck it in.
Yeah, we'll just do it. That's gross, man.
It is. I wonder if it's got a serial number on it. You know what? Might take a photo of the number and just get a new one. It might actually, I don't know if I can clean that, but it's a bit
Yeah.
thrashed, isn't it?
Pod filter conspiracies or not, that one is festy. Isn't it?
It is. It's been well used.
There's a lot of pod filter conspiracies, everyone.
Oh, there's so many, isn't there?
Too many to go through now.
They're a bit tiring,
We should
actually.
do a whole thing on that one day, Martin.
Pod filters.
The conspiracies of them.
Yeah. Dirty versus clean, power.
Companies that make them.
Yeah.
The claims they make. Battery out, Martin.
New battery. Let's do
There
this.
he is. New bad boy over there.
Let's do
ready
this.
to go on. Feel
you,
the
mate.
power, Martin.
No, it's good.
Unlimited.
This is a bit different, this battery, because it's got an adapter on it to run a big terminal here, but the negative strap is a small one.
All right.
So I actually have to get this and put this adapter on it to make it work. And then we've
Yeah,
got to
right.
like, clamp that on,
Yeah,
clamp that
okay.
down. There you
And
go.
Martin also
Australian made.
Australian made.
Love it.
Australian made.
It's good.
Well done. I'll bin that one.
Thank you, sir. You can
Dispose
recycle
of
them,
it
by the way.
environmentally correctly.
Take them to the tip and you can recycle them.
Excellent.
Keep your car running. That's what it says on here.
And don't buy an Evo then.
Hey.
Yep.
All right, so our new battery is in, blow-off valve's in, intake's back together, turbo's on, manifold's on, dump pipe's on, sensors, yeah, no sensors yet. So there's a few things that I'm not going to do today, which is the coil plugs, because we'll do that when I go to Haltech and put all the new gear in, because they need a whole new wiring loom to make them work. So there's no point putting that together because I've got to drive to Haltech. So I've got to make this work with the ECU that's in it. It won't be making big power getting there. I'll just be cruising it. But the thing I do want to do, and is very important, is fuel pump. So that's a big one, an important one to make the power. A lot of the time when you have this kind of setup and these supporting mods, this is the thing that will let you down. This does limit the power because if you can't flow the amount of required fuel, you just won't make the power. So some pumps will top out at 270 kilowatts, whether it's in a Skyline, a Supra, an Evo, a Subaru, doesn't matter. That's just how much fuel you can physically flow, and there's sort of some equations you can do to work that out. This should be good for well over 300 kilowatts. It's not going to make 400. You're going to need multiples of them, but getting up around the 300 and just over, this should do the job, and it will be bigger than what's ever in there currently. So we'll whack this in. The pipes will have to wait till the cat arrives. Who knows when that's going to be, but we'll throw that in before we get into Haltech, and we'll put in some of those interior bits. Will only take a few minutes, but otherwise, last piece of the puzzle. Let's do it.
Hello, mate.
How did you get in here before me?
I'm like all ninja-like.
Ninja camera guy. It still smells weird, eh?
Ethanol-y.
Do you reckon
and
Evo
sweat.
smell?
And something. Fuel pump under here, Martin?
I believe so. I don't know. I've never done a fuel pump in an Evo. Have you? Yes, you
only once.
Yes, you have. There it goes.
I'll just get out of the way.
I think there's a little thing there.
No, that's my penis.
Oh, sorry. Really? It's heaps bigger than I expected. You can take that with you.
Thank you, mate.
It's in here somewhere. Now, people on the internet with Evos will know exactly what's going on. We should reiterate that we have not done an Evo before, so this is all new. Do you reckon it's on the right or the left?
This side for sure. Right there, 100%.
You reckon?
Yep, no, I know. Right there, man.
How do you know?
Because I've done this. You know you own an Evo when? Under the back seat there's...
5
Did you
cents?
just put that there?
Yeah, I put that there.
Was that this there?
Yeah, that was already there.
What about this?
Well, what is that?
I don't know. Condom wrapper?
Condom wrapper?
I think so.
Oh, man. Not in Evos. You're too busy just chopping fools to be parked up. Down at the drag strip with your mates. With your mates. That also have Evos. Moment of truth.
Pump.
Moment of
Fuel,
truth.
fuel pump. Fuel
Is it in here?
pump. Fuel pump.
Why
You
is
want a
it
flat blade?
Probably.
Fuel
3,
pump.
2, 1.
Fuel pump. Fuel pump. Fuel pump. Fuel pump. Fuel pump.
It's not the fuel pump.
Fuel pump. Fuel pump.
It's not the fuel pump. I'm pretty
Fuel
sure that's
pump.
level sender, and
Fuel,
that's
fuel
the jet pump, other
Fuel
side of the
pump.
jet pump.
Fuel pump. Well,
We should have taken
if we were in
bets, man.
America, that would be the right side. I did my research, Martin.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wait, I know what happened. You looked it up, Evos, and it said it's on the driver's side.
Yes.
Well, then you're correct. Because it is on the driver's side.
In the wrong country.
Yeah.
Well, not the wrong country. Just not Australia. Let's have a look on the other side, Martin.
I'll be worried if it's not on this side. That'll be a problem. We probably should have just looked for the screws that were already thrashed out from being removed 5 times.
This is true.
The last 5 times it's had a fuel pump.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Fuel pump!
Fuel pump. Fuel pump. Fuel. That actually looks like a fuel pump.
There
now.
it is. There's the fuel pump plug.
You got some rags ready for the flow back, Martin?
Yeah, there'll be a bit of flow back happening. I'll sort that out. Yeah, and this is just the same in all Japanese cars, isn't it? It's just all the same stuff. Oh, it smells. Of course it smells.
Do you know what side it's on a Golf, Martin?
No.
Neither do I.
All right. Now this is the magic tool for removing fuel pumps. These little collars that you put over to snap these bad boys off. Although I don't really know what size it is. It's probably always going to be the same one, which is 5/16, which is like, I don't know, 8 mil. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Or am I going to look silly?
It's possible that both of those could be true, Martin.
Yep. Get in there. I think you can also do this with a screwdriver, which is what it might come down to. This is another one of those moments where you want to do the most difficult nuts first, because otherwise, again, you've got all the tension on the ones that are the hardest to get to. And this is always fiddly because the hole, for some reason, that they've given you to get this pump assembly out of is actually smaller than the thing you're trying to get out of it. So you could drop the tank, but then you're messed up with all drive systems and everything underneath there. So this is the way to do it.
And it's always a weird dance to even get the cradle out. You've got to kind of do like an up and an out and a twist to get it back in. And then you've got to be careful that when you're putting it back in, you're not smashing the sock.
Yep, and this one will be no different. Yeah, and even getting to some of these nuts is probably going to require a spanner. And again, some Evo expert will probably tell me that there's some really easy way to do this that I don't know about yet, but that's always easier with experience.
Yep.
What is interesting though is this is like very similar to a 350Z, which is very similar to an STI or a Subaru Legacy. Like it's really the same fittings and the same nuts. It's almost like in Japan they've just got a fuel tank and fuel pump supplier and they just use the same people.
Yeah.
It would make sense.
It's likely.
Yeah. Coming out. And a mad tip, make sure your tank's relatively empty. I didn't really have a problem with that because I spent the whole trip home in limp mode, which means it was burning like all the petrol I had in the tank. I think I used a quarter of a tank to go like 20 Ks. So that's one way to get rid of all your fuel. Oh, wow.
Oh, there you go.
There she is. Already got an aftermarket pump in there, but the one we're going to put in is going to be bigger. I'm going to cover that again, otherwise I know I'll drop something in there.
Oh yeah, twisted though, backwards.
Yep. Twisted was backwards.
Someone could say they were twisted around.
The wrong way.
Sorry.
What's that?
That oil.
Now, if you're chasing big power, which hopefully one day I will be,
Buy a Golf.
Will not,
Actually, no.
This will not
Cancel that.
not be appropriate. You just have to do something else. You have to get a dual pump hanger. You have to, this is not enough, unfortunately. So for now, this is fine for our power target, but any more than this, it's totally different fuel system setup. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Well done, Martin. Is that it for today? Is that the Disrespected Evo done?
Disrespected Evo is done.
For now?
Done. Yeah,
a couple little things to do because
Yeah.
we ran out of time or parts.
Yeah.
Thanks for anybody who hung out for this long
Good on you.
at what it's really like to be.
That's the whole thing with Disrespected Evo, isn't it? That's how it started.
Yes.
Whereas Disrespected knows.
Yes, it's
Wasn't
because
it?
I disrespected your nose by getting all close to it and then doing something.
And then
to it.
it became Disrespected Evo, which it actually is.
That's right.
Although this Evo is getting respected and respectable,
Yeah.
slowly but surely. That's awesome. I think we've done just about everything we can do.
It's time, Martin. I rock, paper, scissors you to see who gets to start your car for the first time. One,
Scissors,
two, three.
Because you always go
I
chopped.
know.
It's the
You want me-
easiest.
Well, but one day I'm going to mess with you, man.
So we can't put that in yet because we don't have a cat. The
Yeah.
second a cat gets here, I'm going to bolt it in, and then we are going to go to Haltech and get this all happening with new sensors and flex fuel and new coils and just sort of bring it up to 2019 spec.
And this chopped my Golf already, but now it's going to chop so hard.
It's
Unless I do something fairly drastic.
something crazy. Should we see if it starts?
Something fairly crazy.
We see if it starts?
Well, yeah, that is assuming that it even works.
It's going to sound pretty rally spec, I reckon. Here we go.
Let's
Now
do
watch
it. I'm going back in case it explodes. Yeah! Awesome, man!
I got even more check engine lights than I've ever had in my
Oh,
life.
really? Even more now?
Yeah, because O2 sensors aren't there, and yeah, it's bit of a mess. But
Gaskets,
that'll be sorted.
manifold,
Yep.
blow-off valve,
Yep.
battery, dump.
Fuel pump, interior bits.
Excellent, man.
Yeah, man, it's getting there. It's going to be good. It's going to be a nice, reliable 300 kilowatt, maybe. No, let's just say 280 because we know it can do that.
280 kilowatts.
Yeah, with that turbo, 280.
I'm chopped, man.
No, you're not.
Seriously, no. I mean, I gotta pull something drastic out of the sausage to keep up with that.
I just can't get over how fast that thing is for the power it makes. So I'm not even going to pretend, unless this is making 400 kilowatts, I wouldn't even be getting too drastic about beating you. But you just never know, do you? With this JDM brilliance here.
Yeah, I mean, you have the power of the JDM gods on your side. all I have is a massive German sausage just dripping its sauce all over my car.
They are tasty,
Or
man.
something.
I have, what do I have? I don't know, ramen?
We should go get a mad sausage.
Sausage or ramen?
Oh, ramen place in Lane Cove. You been there?
Does it have sausage in it?
No. But
Let's
it's
go.
delicious. Let's do it.
I'm in.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for coming
See you
along.
later.
See yous.
Yeah, there's normally a line out the door, but it's freaking awesome. It's a disrespected Evo because the true OG fans know that there's going to be no music and no voiceover, and they get the purity, Martin.
Purity.
But I think the thing is that what comes with the purity is also the inanity,
Yes.
if that's a real word, about inaneness of what goes on and the amount of bullshit that goes on behind the camera that we probably should edit out for the next
We should
episode.
cut all of it. I'm going to cut this whole episode into 15 seconds. You ready? There you go, dude. That's called Too Long Didn't Read.
What?
The whole episode, that was the whole episode in 15 seconds. So if you wanted to, you could skip to that bit and just watch it, and then you don't have to listen to us.
Oh, and then you'd know.
Yeah.
And then those comments that are like, skip to 7 minutes for the start of
to
the video.
46:18,
Those are the
whatever it
people that don't eat entrees, by the way, or the people that just want to stick the golf putter straight in the hole without kissing the ball first.
You should always kiss the ball first. If I've learned anything in this life, dude, we should just, can we go get a ramen?
kiss the ball.
Let's go get ramen.
Yeah, we'll take my golf. It works and it's
Mad.
fast. Let's go, Martin. How long will the mics last until they stop working again?